Good afternoon to all, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sustainable Trade Africa event of 2024 at COP29. It's a pleasure to have you all here today. My name is Wangari Muekia. I am an Africa Fiscal Policy Specialist and MD of Expertise Global, a public finance management firm in Nairobi, Kenya, working across Africa. And it is truly a pleasure to MC this event with you all today. Before we start, those on social media, if you can please tag hashtag STA at 2024 in any of your engagements here, would be truly appreciated. And any questions or feedback or assistance that you may need, please direct them to Janal and her team. Please, any people on the team, please wave. And if you have any questions, they can help you. I'm sure I'm one of the last people to do this today, but welcome to Baku. We are thrilled to have you here today with us today on the sidelines of COP29. This event marks the second edition of the Sustainable Trade Africa, or STA, which was first launched at COP28 in Dubai in the UAE last year. Today, we are proud to continue this important initiative in Azerbaijan, where we will focus on how to take action, exploring innovative strategies and collaborative approaches to drive sustainable trade across the African continent in a way that has a net positive effect on climate for the benefit of all. This year's theme for the STA is aligning trade with climate goals, attracting investment and trade flows to and from Africa. Our discussions today will focus on Africa's vast potential for sustainable, climate-sensitive economic growth, with a particular emphasis on the opportunities created by the African Continental Free Trade Area, the AfCFTA. Drawing from our theme, we will focus on two objectives this session. The first is to promote successful, contextually relevant, special economic zone models on the continent to accelerate industrialization, create jobs, and spark more investment and technological advancement on the continent. And two, to attract suitable foreign direct investment while engaging strategic partnerships to support green growth in Africa for the good of all. I would also like to extend our deepest gratitude to the African Export-Import Bank, I'll be referring to them as Afreximbank, whose unwavering support has been instrumental not only to the success of the STA at COP28, but also for their continued commitment here at COP29 and going forward. Afreximbank has been a key advocate for the future of Africa's trade and sustainable development, and their efforts in promoting Africa's green growth and trade infrastructure are invaluable. I would also like to thank our partners in Azerbaijan, the Small and Medium Business Development Agency of Azerbaijan, or KOBiA. Your support has been crucial in having us here today. So this week, in the corridors of power, you have and will rub shoulders with some of the most influential people who can push more action in this sector. Do me a favor. When you meet these people, here or even at home, tell them about the ideas and opportunities you take from this event and integrate them with your own plans and strategies so that we can all take relevant action. Are we together? I hope so. So without further ado, I would like to invite our first guest speaker of the day, a distinguished leader who has played a pivotal role in advancing intra-Africa trade and export development. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Kanayo Awani, the Executive Vice President of Intra-African Trade and Export Development at the Afreximbank, to deliver opening remarks. A round of applause, please. Ms. Awani, congratulations on the tremendous success of the creative Export Nexus. We hope that we will learn a lot from Afreximbank. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I always need that. Your Excellency, Mr. Wamkele, Mene, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Secretary at the AfCFTA. He is probably represented because I know he left tonight. Thank you very much. Yesterday night. Mr. Orkhan Mammadov, the Chairman of the Board, Small and Medium Business Development Agency of Azerbaijan, Mr. Yusif, Abdullayev, Executive Director, Export and Investment Promotion Agency of the Republic, Your Excellency Mohammed, Saeed, Sultan, Alnuaimi, Undersecretary, the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment of the UAE, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for the African Export-Import Bank to be invited to this conversation on climate change and its impact and challenges that pose significant existential threats for lives and livelihoods. I would like to express my profound appreciation to the organizers, our partners, Sustainable Trade Africa, and my dear brother, Mr. Walid, for putting this session together. As the foremost trade finance institution in Africa, Africa's own export credit agency, the theme transforming Africa's trade and climate resilience and sustainable development is aligned to our own vision, our mission and ambitions, and is a topic that is relevant and timely, especially for Africa, a region whose development path is disproportionately impacted by climate change, despite being the lowest contributor to global greenhouse emissions. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, climate change and its impact on lives and livelihoods represent an existential threat. It has contributed to displacing societies, distorting socio-economic order, lowering agricultural productivity, and also contributing to loss of human lives. Africa, as a continent, continues to experience widespread damage attributed to climate change, including prolonged droughts, rising sea levels, floods and erosion, loss of biodiversity, and increased food insecurity. For instance, agricultural productivity in Africa has declined by over 30% since 1961 due to climate change, and that's more than any other region in the world. These statistics should not be lost on us. The 2022 climate change report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change on Impacts, Adaptation, and Vulnerability highlights that most parts of Africa are among the global hotspots of human vulnerability to climate change. As a continent, Africa therefore needs to ensure that climate change and its impacts are considered in development strategies. Among others, this will include integrating climate-resilient development concepts, including around renewable energy and green industrialization, climate and smart agriculture, food and nutrition security, climate change adaptation, climate resilience, and climate finance. It is in this context that African Export-Import Bank sees today's discourse as very critical. As a bank, we welcome this engagement, recognizing that immediate, decisive action is imperative. Ladies and gentlemen, despite climate-related crises becoming increasingly pervasive on our continent, Africa, and the urgency for the continent to build greater resilience, it is disheartening to observe that the global discussions continue to be shaped by those who are most responsible for climate change and not those who are most affected, like our situation in Africa. I think the global discussion needs to be more inclusive, to ensure that all perspectives are given attention in the fight against the global challenge, and due regard is paid to the sustainable development ambitions of Africa that will account for over 30% of the global population by the turn of the century. Ladies and gentlemen, in this regard and beyond the discussions for a just transition and also ensuring equitable access to climate finance, it is also equally important to ensure fair and equitable trade policies that will allow Africa and its development goals, that will support Africa and its development goals while addressing mitigation and adaptation efforts. I do recognize that even though trade and trade policies can exacerbate the climate impact of unsustainable production and consumption patterns, but they are also vital to offsetting climate-induced production shortfalls in regions such as Africa, where climate change is critical and the scaling up of diffusion, development, and uptake of new technologies. In a region with a faster-growing population, but one that remains energy poor, remains food insecure, remains susceptible to commodity boom and bust cycles, climate change has underlined the need to build greater resilience to transform economies towards higher value-added production and increasing agricultural productivity to ensure food and nutrition security. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at the heart of the sustainable development drive for Africa is our integration ambitions under Agenda 2063, dubbed the Africa We Want, and also the African Continental Free Trade Area, the AfCFTA. The AfCFTA is a bedrock for Africa's sustainable development and needs to embrace development that supports green industrialization. Our quest is for industrialization in Africa. That's our utmost ambition. And we hope to collaborate in building, or partners to collaborate with us in building climate-resilient industrial infrastructure, utilizing new and cleaner technologies as we pursue the process of building regional value chains in priority sectors such as cotton and textiles and apparel, secondly, agriculture and agro-processing, thirdly, vaccines and pharmaceutical products, fourthly, automotive vehicle assembly and components, and finally, the digital economy. As a partner, the African Export-Import Bank is actively contributing to the continent's drive towards climate action and green growth initiatives through various projects and collaborations. Some of the interventions I'll mention and collaborations I'll mention briefly. Some of our activities in this space, and maybe it should give you a good insight about how we play in this space. We have a climate adaptation facility for the government of Kenya. The bank is disbursing the first tranche of 800 million Kenya for the $800 million for the Kenya Climate Change Adaptation Facility that will support climate-related projects in Kenya, including water and irrigation. We also have a battery precursor manufacturing initiative in DRC and Zambia, collaborating with these two countries. Afreximbank is spearheading a sustainable battery value chain project, including the development of a transboundary special economic zone aimed at mitigating greenhouse gas emissions and foster economic development in the region and on our continent. We're very big on the development of industrial parks and special economic zones. And together with Arise IIP, our partners, we use new technologies and clean energy to support manufacturing industries in those industrial parks. And by the way, there will be more that will be said by my colleagues later on in the program about some of these initiatives. I'm just keeping it high level for now. We've also been involved in a euro $150 million dual tranche facility, in favor of the government of Cameroon. We're also collaborating with the World Food Programme, the AfCFTA Secretariat, and food security and climate change. This collaboration focuses on strengthening agricultural value chains in Africa, enhancing climate resilience, and promoting trade in food commodities as Africa aspires for food sovereignty. We're also collaborating with our partners, African Union Commission and AUDA NEPAD, on building capacity on carbon markets and the development of gold standards for carbon markets in Africa. Many of you, or some of you, may have heard about our Africa Energy Bank initiative. Afreximbank is proposing the establishment of an Africa Energy Bank, an independent development finance institution to offer specialized financing solutions to the African oil and gas sector, aligning with energy security and sustainable development. We also have a youth and climate program, Africa's Youth and Climate Program. This bank is supporting youth-led startups with a focus on decarbonization and ESG issues through initiatives like Climate Tech Run competition and a $25 million venture capital fund, accessible through the bank's impact equity fund we call Fund for Export Development in Africa, FEDA. We also support Africa's Carbon Market Initiative. We're a steering committee member, and Afreximbank is actively influencing discussions to align with AfCFTA intentions for equity and also exploring the implementation of biodiversity credits on the continent. Some of our important clients on the African continent are also involved in renewable energy, and we're working with some of them like El Swedi of Egypt, who have constructed in South Sudan a solar facility with other projects in Equatorial Guinea, contributing to renewable energy development, economic growth, and environmental benefits. Same with Hassan Alam, where we're also working with them. We worked with them and sponsored the construction of a solar photovoltaic plant in Sharm el-Sheikh. That supported COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. We also have a concessional finance window. The bank intends to support the development of renewable and reliable energy or green energy infrastructure focusing on renewables, through our concessional finance window. We also have a comprehensive guarantee program. And for people who are interested in investing in the African country, it supports not only investment finance, but also guarantees that will deal with issues or perceived risks that people may have investing in Africa, because it will provide country risk mitigation. It also it secures profits and repatriation of profits and normalcy of business operations if you're operating in Africa. We also have a project preparation facility through which we mobilize finance on the continent that brings projects to bankability. Even in the creative sector. I know you mentioned Canex, and it will be odd to bring it into this space, but yes, even in sports, we are supporting with an investment in Formula E1, the novel electric boat racing program for the promotion of environmentally sustainable marine transportation. These initiatives and collaborations, I have just highlighted a few of them, reflect our commitment to environmentally sustainable projects and align with global efforts towards climate action and green growth, as well as continental efforts towards green industrialization for Africa. And as I begin to round up, I want to talk about the Intra-African Trade Fair. And this opportunity, Intra-African Trade Fair is a biennial, every 2 years trade fair that is beyond a fair, that is also multi-sectoral, that will hold in Algiers next year between the Algiers and Algeria between the 4th of September to 10th of September 2025. it is also an opportunity for investment promotion. For people who see, or friends of Africa, who see Africa as a frontier for their investments, and I'm glad AZPROMO is here too, it's an opportunity to integrate. It is the largest platform on the continent, largest public-private platform for engagement, for business promotion, for B2Bs, B2Gs, G2Gs, as the case may be. And I welcome you all to use this as an opportunity for investment promotion, investment attraction, for opportunities to see, it's an opportunity to also work with African governments and businesses. And maybe we'll send more of the information to my dear brother from AZPROMO. As I already mentioned earlier, there will be more on our programs and facilities. I have a number of my colleagues who are in this room, quite a number who can also, do a deep dive in some of the programs. What I've tried to do this afternoon, is to give a flavor of what Afreximbank does. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, allow me to reemphasize that a highly integrated global economy, in a highly integrated global economy, achieving climate goals would not only require effective domestic policies, but also concerted and inclusive international collaboration. This implies overcoming traditional silos of policymaking to bring climate and trade policy makers together and taking into consideration the reality of the needs of the most vulnerable countries that suffer disproportionately from climate crisis. The voice of Africa, the voice of global Africa, which is Africans wherever they may be, and the global South needs to be heard. And we need to ensure addressing climate challenges reflective of the needs of these economies and their imperative to pursue sustainable development. Their imperative to pursue development as well. This requires collaboration, this requires partnerships, and ensuring climate financing commitments are fulfilled and deployed in those areas that drive development and support adaptation. At Afreximbank, be rest assured that we stand ready to work with African countries, global partners, and yourselves to ensure a more sustainable future for our continent. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Awani, for those really insightful remarks. It's a pleasure to have you here. Next, it is my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this session, a leader who has been instrumental in shaping the UAE's efforts to combat climate change and protect our environment. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency Mohammed Saeed Sultan Alnuaimi, Undersecretary, Ministry of Climate Change and Environment at the UAE. Your Excellency, the stage is yours. Please give him a hand.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with you today and give you a little bit about, or some insight about what we did and how collaborative we have to reach our goals. It's an honor to address to you all today. As the world is facing the challenges in regard to climate change, the need for sustainable trade practices has never been more urgent. It's the very bedrock upon which collective economic future must be constructed. Business across all sectors must embrace climate resilience strategy, not only to safeguard our planet's dedicated ecosystem, but also to ensure prosperity and well-being to all generations. The United Arab Emirates recognize that the climate action presents a big challenges, but we also understand and believe that it can be catalyzed for transforming economic growth, attracting innovative skill generation, high-value employment opportunity. We have therefore taken approach and positive steps weaving sustainable into fabric to our nation agenda. Today, it's the guideline principle that to inform or to re-inform our policies, our project, and our strategic. It's commit us to high-level standard of protecting environment. It reflects our dedication to resources conservation. It reflects our commitment to ecosystem preservation and our desire to mitigate potential environment harms at every turn. The UAE has adopted a approachable approach, one that recognizes the strong relationship between climate action and economic opportunities. We are actively fostering a pro-climate, pro-growth environment. This includes encouraging robust partnership between all sectors, industry and business in our national decarbonization drive. At COP28, we talk a lot about benefit of collaboration and partnership. That is because they are the cornerstone of our climate action strategy at home. The collaboration underscores our unwavering commitment to advancing sustainable energy practice worldwide. Friends, we are recognize the great potential of Africa as a key partner in accelerating our collective climate goals, from fostering public-private partnership and cross-border collaboration to build a strong and agile trade system grounded in the best practice and forward-looking policies. The opportunity as a vast. By nurturing those partnerships and promoting sustainable investment, we can collectively unlock the transform of climate solutions, and we can ensure both economic resilience and global security in face of mounting climate change. Let us dedicate ourselves to those goals. Thank you and wish you all the best in today's session.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those remarks. We are very energized by the knowledge that we have such committed leaders advocating for change and progress in this critical area, in this critical time. Thank you very much. Many of us here are visiting Baku for the first time, and it is well known for the Formula One Grand Prix, but today we focus on trade. We are honored to have our hosts here in Azerbaijan give the next address. Their dedication and collaboration has been crucial in bringing this event to Azerbaijan. It is my pleasure to invite Mr. Orkhan Mammadov, Chairman of the Board of the Small and Medium Business Development Agency of Azerbaijan, KOBiA, to welcome us to Azerbaijan. A round of applause, please.
Thank you very much, honorable speakers, dear guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to greet you all on behalf of SME Agency of Azerbaijan. I think together with our colleagues, we gather at COP29 and united by the urgent mission of fostering sustainable development in an era of climate crisis. As we know, Azerbaijan has declared this year as a year of solidarity for the green world, reflecting our nation's commitment to environmental responsibility. As the world transitions toward greenest economies, we are at SME Agency are dedicated to empowering micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises to embrace sustainable practices and thrive in a green future. Our partnerships with the UAE are particularly significant in this regard. With KOBiA's support, the Azerbaijan Trade House was successfully established in UAE in Dubai City, strengthening our economic ties and facilitating new opportunities for import and export relationships. We also recognize the UAE Trade Center's active engagement in Africa, and we are ready to cooperate jointly to leverage our shared expertise for sustainable development and investment across both regions. We have observed a marked increase in the regularity of bilateral visits between Azerbaijan and African countries, and we know the importance of collaboration and shared learning. Based on this aspect, SME Agency is planning to expand cooperation with our African counterparts to drive impactful projects to promote sustainability and economic development. Our mission is to support MSMEs in embracing sustainable practices, first of all. Since our inception, KOBiA has introduced tools that facilitate access to finance, markets, and innovation. Let me share a few highlights with you. First of all, it's SME houses, which are one-stop centers offering over 100 essential services to help businesses access resources efficiently. Then we created SME development centers that provide free training, consulting, and incubation centers, and our entrepreneurs facilitate from them. And the SME Friends Network, a connection of nearly 50 offices across our country, fostering partnership and facilitating business growth. Additionally, we offer financial tools, financial support, and startup initiatives, including grants, tax incentives, to ensure a supportive ecosystem for our entrepreneurs. Several frameworks promote sustainable economies, one of which is the environmental, social, and governance principles, ESG. KOBiA plays an active role in establishing and implementing a national ESG platform in Azerbaijan. On November 6, two essential resources developed with the subgroup were presented to the public with our agency's support. A unified digital ESG platform and national ESG standards. ESG Hub, the digital platform, will serve as a resource center combining comprehensive ESG-related information and materials, attracting foreign investors, offering professional ESG services, and providing access experienced experts. I'd like to highlight that the adopted national ESG standard, developed based on the recommendations from the International Organization for Standardization, is one of the first initiatives under this title. Within the COP29, we have announced a global initiative, the Baku Climate Coalition for SMEs Green Transition, presented as a joint declaration. This initiative calls on institutional and individual actors to support SMEs in overcoming climate challenge and transitioning to greener practices. The declaration includes the proposal to establish SME green resource centers, which will identify and address country-specific challenge for SMEs. These centers will offer tailor-made solutions using international experience and resources, facilitating a smoother green transition for our entrepreneurs. Our goal is to generate widespread support for this declaration and to collectively enable SMEs to be active contributors to the global climate solution. We already have several institutions who joined this declaration: International Trade Center, Brazilian Support Service for Micro and Small Enterprises, and other counterparts. As you may see, our mission extends beyond Azerbaijan. We are eager to cooperate with all our friends and counterparts to explore green economic initiatives that align with climate goals. From joint investment in renewable energy to shared knowledge on sustainable business practices, the possibilities for cooperation are vast. We stand at this moment, the green economy is no longer an option, it's a necessity. Our discussions today will shape how trade can empower Africa's transition to a sustainable net zero future. Our agency is ready to contribute, offering expertise and support to foster innovation and economic resilience. Let us embrace this opportunity, dear friends, for impactful partnership, and together we can craft a future where trade drives not just economic growth but also environmental stewardship and societal well-being. I think today's event will be useful for our MSMEs and entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mammadov. Clearly, many opportunities abound. Now, the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, represents a market of 1.7 billion people with a combined GDP of about 3.4 trillion US dollars. Today, we are honored to have with us His Excellency Wamkele Mene, the Secretary General of the AfCFTA Secretariat. Your Excellency, we've been eagerly awaiting to hear from you, and as we say in my country, Karibu Sana, the floor is yours. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Madam Program Director. First, I want to thank our dear brother Waleed for continuing to convene us on the margins of these COP events to enable us to exchange views, to assess the progress that we're making. The AfCFTA is indeed honored to partner, to support, and to be a promoter of this event, starting from last year in Dubai. As you know, as we speak, and as Madam Program Director mentioned, the AfCFTA is the world's largest free trade area, combining a population of 1.4 billion people, with a GDP that is estimated by the year 2035 to reach 16.2 trillion United States dollars. The continent of Africa therefore presents a significant market, a compelling investment proposition, but of course we all know the challenges that we have to overcome, such as market fragmentation, over-reliance on export of unprocessed commodities, the fact that we have 42 currencies that further entrench the fragmentation that I referred to, underdeveloped manufacturing capacity. All of these challenges will continue to be with us for some time. However, we are fully conscious of the potential that remains to be unlocked, where we focus on market integration and creating opportunities for the private sector. Under Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, environmental sustainability is a critical part of shaping a prosperous business environment, ensuring that whilst our business community, our private sector thrives, we are also alert to environmental imperatives. In this context, the African Continental Free Trade Area is an important instrument to enhance economic activity, whilst at the same time maintaining environmental progress. In terms of our objectives, we seek to ensure that the promotion of sustainable development, the enhancement of economic competitiveness, and the promotion of industrial development are all undertaken in a manner that is alert, as I've just mentioned, to our environmental obligations. In the AfCFTA, the agreement itself, climate, sustainability, and structural transformation are intertwined. We have specific provisions that relate to investment, for example, that expressly support low carbon investments and actions to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions. Despite our continent's abundant resources, historically we have contributed only 3% to global trade, with intra-Africa trade not exceeding 20% of our total trade. As I've noted before, this underscores a significant reliance. This is a result of a significant reliance on the export of unprocessed raw materials, and highlights the ongoing urgent need for us to diversify our economies. We aim to transform this dynamic that I've just described by fostering a more self-sufficient African economy through enhanced trade, industrial development, and economic diversification. The challenge ahead of us, the climate change challenge, is also an opportunity. It represents a crucial opportunity for us to break the cycle of dependency and empower African countries to develop more robust, diversified economies through increased intra-Africa trade that is based on green industrialization, critical minerals processing, and renewables energy production. And therefore, this initiative today and our gathering seeks not only to discuss and to elaborate on ways in which we can increase intra-Africa trade, but also to integrate the African economy fully into the global economy. We therefore in the AfCFTA stand uniquely positioned to frame these key issues from this COP and advance on green structural transformation. A recent research that we commissioned explores the trade and investment nexus under the AfCFTA legal framework, and its main findings include that trade, structural transformation through climate-compatible industrial development, and agricultural modernization are instrumental in pursuing economic development. But African economies face complex challenges such as high external debt, limited climate finance flows, and negative spillovers from trade policies such as CBAM. The report further points to the need to increase green productive capabilities, which can be achieved through climate competitive value chains by investing in green infrastructure, investing in agricultural modernization, climate adaptation and resilience, critical minerals production, processing, and green manufacturing. We support Africa's structural transformation through increased intra-Africa trade, the diversification of intra-Africa export markets, and of course, as I keep emphasizing, the need to accelerate green industrialization. Furthermore, the AfCFTA provides a stable and predictable trading environment that can help to de-risk investments in sustainable projects, which are often perceived as high risk by foreign investors. This enables the AfCFTA to be a critical mechanism in attracting and securing investments that are necessary for Africa's green transition. So over the last 4 years, in the implementation of this agreement, much progress has been recorded. Trading has started initially among 7 countries. Now 39 countries have started trading on a range of different products that, to our satisfaction, are not just basic agricultural products, but value-added products that are being traded. As we engage in these discussions in this forum, we rededicate ourselves we commit ourselves to use the AfCFTA as an instrument for transformation of Africa's economy. We are not just creating a single market, which is an important objective, but given the challenge that we face of climate change, we have had to adapt this agreement to be an agreement that is also responsive to Africa's need for low-carbon development, for a low-carbon development pathway that supports our ambitious goals for a net zero future. As I conclude, let me note once again that the AfCFTA fully supports this initiative. We are also fully engaged in Africa Green Industrialization Initiative. And in this regard, I want to thank the government of Kenya, in particular the President of Kenya, for leading in the implementation and the development of Africa Green Industrialization Initiative. I believe as a result of Africa Green Industrialization Initiative, the continent of Africa has turned a page on the binary discussion between development on the one hand, industrial development on the one hand, and whether or not we develop in a manner that pollutes our environment. Through the Africa Green Industrialization Initiative, we have been able to set forward how Africa can advance her industrial development at the same time, simultaneously, maintaining very high industrial development, green initiatives, and green considerations. The recently concluded summit in Nairobi last year in September provided a framework for us, a high-level framework for us to continue on this path of green industrialization, value-added production of our critical minerals, as well as accelerating our projects in renewable energy. Commitments were made in COP28 in Dubai. Very significant amounts of commitments were made. However, I think objectively we can all agree that the international community has fallen short of the commitments that were made. Where we are to accelerate towards net zero by the year 2050, much resources and investment will be required to be channeled to Africa to assist and to support the transition to net zero. As I mentioned earlier, green industrialization, critical minerals processing in Africa, as well as renewable energy projects, are indeed the bedrock of Africa's continued industrial development. All of this will not happen in the absence of the appropriate policy environment, which I believe we have established, but also will not happen in the absence of the investment and the commitments that were made. And so we continue to call upon the international community to direct and to channel much needed investment to green industrialization, to climate awareness initiatives, as well as green trade on the African continent. The AfCFTA indeed serves as a catalyst for sustainable development, merging trade with environmental imperatives. All of this will foster economic growth and ensure that our continent is indeed on a path to green industrialization. And so once again, I want to thank the organizers of this event for continuing to keep us engaged and alert to this very important objective. I thank you very much for your attention.
May I ask the keynote speakers to come and take a picture? We might lose Mr. Mene, Your Excellency Mene, if we are not careful. So Mrs. Awani, Mr. Mammadov, and Mr. Abdullayev, and Mr. Al-Falahi, please. Thank you very much, and thank you for indulging us. Thank you for your wonderful speech, Your Excellency, and we hope that we'll be able to take advantage of the opportunities that you have presented to us. Our next guest is Mr. Yusif Abdullayev, Executive Director, Export and Investment Promotion Agency of the Republic of Azerbaijan, AZPROMO. Please welcome him with a round of applause. I'll let you in on a secret. He speaks at least 5 languages, so please make sure that you catch him in the break, and there's no excuse, language barrier is not an excuse with him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor, a big honor, a privilege to be on the stage, Your Excellencies, and I would like to thank my brother Orkhan Mammadov for this opportunity to be on this stage. And of course, sharing the stage with Mrs. Awani, Mr. Mene, it's also a big privilege for me. And I recall that yesterday within the business investment philanthropy climate platform, I had the privilege to share this stage with Mrs. Awani and share our thoughts about what is the best way to attract FDI to the country for a very important issue as climate change. We, as an Export Investment Promotion Agency, AZPROMO, we are in the intermediate, and we think that we are playing very crucial role of facilitator, because we are trying to facilitate the communication between the, let's say, financial institutions and the people who are doing the business on the ground. And it's also very important. One of the main goals of AZPROMO is attracting foreign direct investment to the country. For that, we, Azerbaijan as a country, established numerous special economic zones, which include industrial zones and Alat Free Economic Zone. Alat Free Economic Zone, situated near the Baku International Sea Trade Port, aims to attract investors interested in utilizing innovative technologies to produce high-value goods for export by offering tax exemptions and freedom to repatriate earnings to its residents. And Azerbaijan's industrial zone offer exemption from various taxes for 10 years. Their modern infrastructure, created at the expense of public funds, suggests favorable condition for businessmen. Liberated territories also, it's a large-scale infrastructure and transportation projects are being implemented in the Karabakh and East Zangezur economic regions, creating new business opportunities and prospects. Of course, we as a country announced for our strategy for 2030, and within our national strategy we have a main 5 pillars, and one of that pillar is to make our economy green, and for that purpose Karabakh region announced the wholly green region of Azerbaijan. We as a country is also committed to achieving 30% renewable energy in its total energy mix by 2030. This includes investment in solar, wind, and green hydrogen projects. And I think you probably know that we already have big names which invested in Azerbaijan, as Masdar and as Aqua Power and other big international companies. But for us, it's very important that we as a country is hosting this COP29, because, and it's a big pleasure for us that this Sustainable Trade Africa, it came, the initiative which started in previous COP, and now we are hosting another Sustainable Trade Africa forum. This dialogue is very important for us, as my colleague Mr. Mammadov has mentioned, our partnership with and negotiations with the African continent. So I think we have a very good dialogue, and also you can see from the list of the high-level people who attended COP29, which represent African continent. I think it's also very important for us. I know that we ran out of the schedule, and I know that there will be a panel, so that's why I'm trying to be very short. But We are very committed to convince people to do more and invest more in green projects. And as investment promotion agency, we think that for us is very, very important and very keen. I'm very happy to welcome all of you to Azerbaijan, to Baku, but I cannot not to underline the name of one person, my friend and brother Yusif. It's a big pleasure for me to see you here in my country, in Baku, and I'm very happy to see you. And I know that you will host the moderate the next session, so good luck to you. So once again, thank you very much for this opportunity, Mr. Mammadov, to you, and God bless you. Thank you.